South Africa, a country known for its rich culture, stunning landscapes and vibrant cities, also holds a less flattering title, the most unequal country in the world. Let's take a moment and understand what this means. Economists often use a tool called the Gini coefficient to measure inequality. This tool ranges from 0, representing perfect equality, to 1, indicating perfect inequality. In this spectrum, South Africa stands at the top, boasting the highest Gini coefficient globally. This disparity isn't just a number on a page. It's a visible, tangible reality that can be seen in the stark contrast between the lives of the wealthy and the poor. On one hand, you have luxurious suburbs, where opulence is the norm and gated communities house the country's elite. These areas are a testament to the wealth that South Africa holds, with sprawling mansions, private schools and state-of-the-art healthcare facilities. On the other hand, you have sprawling, informal settlements, where the majority of South Africans reside. Here, basic amenities like clean water, sanitation and electricity are a luxury. Life in these settlements is a stark contrast to the opulent suburbs, with cramped living conditions, poor education facilities, and limited access to healthcare. The distance between these two worlds is not only geographical, but also socio-economic. The divide is so vast that it feels like two different countries coexisting within the same borders. The wealthy live a life of comfort and security, while the poor struggle to make ends meet. This level of inequality is not a random occurrence. It's not a product of chance or a simple twist of fate. It's a deeply entrenched issue that has its roots in a complex and painful history. It's a testament to the systemic issues that have plagued South Africa for years, issues that have been exacerbated by policies, practices, and systemic biases. This level of inequality didn't happen overnight. It's the result of a complex and painful history. The next scenes will delve deeper into this history and the challenges that continue to perpetuate this stark inequality. To understand the root of this inequality, we must delve into the dark chapters of South Africa's past, the era of apartheid. Apartheid, a term meaning separateness in Afrikaans, was a system of institutionalized racial segregation that dominated South Africa from 1948 until the early 90s. The policies of apartheid were meticulously designed to keep the races separate and unequal, depriving the black majority of their basic human rights. The architects of apartheid divided society into 4 racial categories: white, black, colored, and Indian. Each group lived in designated areas, used separate public facilities, and had access to different levels of education and healthcare, with the white minority enjoying the best of everything. The black majority, constituting more than 80% of the population, were subjected to economic exclusion. They were denied access to quality education, forced to learn in a language foreign to them, and were offered a curriculum designed to prepare them for a life of servitude rather than upward mobility. Decent housing was a dream for most black South Africans. The government systematically relocated them to townships and bantustans, areas designed to be underdeveloped and overcrowded. These areas were often far from economic hubs, making it difficult for residents to access job opportunities. The apartheid government ensured that the black majority remained in a cycle of poverty. The policies of economic exclusion meant that the majority of South Africans were trapped in low-paying jobs with little chance of advancement. The impact of these policies is still felt today, as generations of black South Africans grapple with the fallout of systemic disenfranchisement and economic exclusion. The end of apartheid in 1994 marked a new beginning, but the damage had been done, and the path to equality was a steep uphill climb. The legacy of apartheid continues to shape the socio-economic landscape of South Africa, underlining the deep-rooted inequality that persists in the nation. The journey towards a more equitable South Africa is a long and arduous one, fraught with challenges yet filled with hope. Post-apartheid South Africa faced the monumental task of redressing the economic imbalances of the past. The nation's new leaders were tasked with transforming a deeply segregated society into a robust, inclusive economy. This was no small feat, considering the decades of systematic oppression and economic exclusion that had previously defined the country's landscape. One of the government's primary strategies to stimulate economic transformation was the implementation of policies like Black Economic Empowerment, or BE. This initiative aimed to increase the participation of black individuals in the economy, promoting ownership, management and employment opportunities for the previously marginalized majority. However, the road to economic transformation has been fraught with challenges. Corruption, for instance, has been a persistent obstacle. Despite the good intentions of policies like BE, corrupt practices have often distorted their implementation, leading to benefits being concentrated among a select few rather than reaching the wider black community. Inadequate education further compounds these issues. The legacy of Bantu education, a system designed to limit black South Africans to unskilled labor, lingers on. Today, many young South Africans still do not have access to quality education, leaving them ill-prepared to compete in a modern global economy. Moreover, access to land and capital remain significant barriers. The majority of South Africa's arable land is still owned by a small, predominantly white minority. This, coupled with the difficulty many black South Africans face in securing capital, hinders the growth of black-owned businesses and perpetuates economic inequality. Despite the progress made in the past quarter of a century, the dream of an equal and prosperous South Africa remains elusive. The path to economic transformation is a rocky one, marked by the sharp thorns of corruption, inadequate education, and limited access to resources. But the journey continues, driven by the hope of realizing Nelson Mandela's vision of a rainbow nation where everyone enjoys the fruits of prosperity. So, where does South Africa go from here? The road to equality is long and arduous, but not impossible. Imagine a South Africa where every child, regardless of their background, has access to quality education. This is not just a lofty ideal, but a feasible solution to level the playing field. It starts with investing in early childhood development and continues through primary, secondary, and tertiary education. More than just academic knowledge, it's about equipping the youth with the skills needed to thrive in the 21st century. From critical thinking and problem solving to digital literacy and emotional intelligence, these are the tools that can bridge the wealth gap. But education alone is not enough. We must also foster an environment where entrepreneurship and small businesses can flourish. This means reducing bureaucratic red tape, providing access to affordable capital, and offering mentorship and training programs. By doing so, we can stimulate job creation, drive innovation, and ultimately generate wealth that is more evenly distributed. Equally important is the fight against corruption. Integrity and transparency are non-negotiables. We need leaders who are accountable, institutions that are robust, and a justice system that is impartial. These are the pillars of a society where resources are not siphoned off by the few, but used for the betterment of the many. None of this, of course, can be achieved by a single entity. It requires a collective effort from the government, the private sector, and civil society. It's about forging partnerships, leveraging resources, and aligning agendas towards a common goal. The road to equality is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's a journey that will test the resilience and spirit of South Africa. There will be hurdles along the way, setbacks and disappointments. But these are not reasons to give up, but to push harder. The journey to equality is a test of South Africa's resilience and spirit, a challenge that this rainbow nation must face head-on.